Hi everybody, how's it going? Finally we reach function lesson, function and procedure lesson. Before we go to see what is function and procedure, I want to tell you that all the programming, most of the programming, when we code, when we program, it relies so much on something called function, procedure, and OOP. For that they call it function programming, procedure programming, structure programming, OOP programming, object-oriented programming, sorry. So if you understand the function and procedure programming so good, you will be able to understand the OOP. Same like an enum. If you understand before the enum and structure are so good, it will help you to understand OOP more easily. Same with the function and procedure. If you understand them so good, it will help you to understand the OOP easily. So now let's go to see what is function and what is procedure. All right. Function and procedure. A function or a procedure is a block of code which only runs when we called it or when it's called. You can pass data known as a parameter. We already mentioned it before. The data or the variable or data type that you put between the brackets of the function, we called it parameter, known as a parameter, into a function or procedure. Functions and procedure are used to perform certain actions and they are important for using code. Define the code once and use it many times. For example, if I want to print my name, Sam Adam, many times in the program, instead every time I go to print it or I go to write it or I go to write the code of printing or display my name on console screen, I will write it once. I will pour it inside function that we call it block of code, function procedure. And after that, I will call just this procedure or this function name. For example, I will name this procedure function my name, all right, or my first function or my first procedure. And after that, I will call this name of the function or procedure many times as I want in the program. It will execute for me the code or the block of code that exits inside the function or procedure. Instead, I write it every time from the beginning. Now I have here a small program. Hashtag include a stream, hashtag include string using std. Here, when we want to define function or procedure, we define them above the main function. So from this point, from this lesson and in the future lessons, all our programming, it will be by or through function procedures. We'll program our programs using functions and procedure. Why? Because it's make you faster, good developer, organized, and separate each block of code in a specific procedure or function. That makes you more faster when you want to get back to your code, to modify your code, to add some feature or delete some feature or fix any bug in your code. All right, we said we write the procedure and the function above the main function. How we know which the procedure and which the function? The procedure always not return value, so we use void with it. If you remember, we said void it's data type, and we say function is data type, but void it's fundamentals data type, and the fundamentals data type it's empty, it's not return any value. And function is derived data type, it's return a value. So when we use void and after that we name the procedure whatever we want, my first procedure, for example, I name it, this is the name, you can name it Susu, Kuku, whatever you want, but I name it here my first procedure. And inside the procedure, the block of code, I can write whatever I want, 1,000 line of code, 10,000 line of code, 1 line of code like I write it now. See out, this is my first procedure, sorry, it got executed. And if I want to return a value, so I will build a function. Function, it starts always with data type, string, integer, float, double. So for example, here I define string, I name the string my first function. As we said, function is data type, is derived data type. And don't forget to do brackets, right? Two brackets and curly bracket after that. And between these two curly brackets, you write your block of code that you will use it many times in your program. But here in a function, when you use data type before the name of the function, string, integer, float, you have to write return. The function return one value. The function usually we use it if you want to write math, write some logic, and in the end the logic or the math return one value, so we will use a function. But if you want to print some text or string, better to use procedure. That was the difference between procedure and function. Procedure not return any value, it's void, it's empty, and function return a one value. And how we call them in the main function, we call them through their names, but the procedure we called it directly from its name without using cout before it, cout object. But the function we have to use cout object before the name of the function, but the procedure no need to use before the name of the procedure, no need to use cout object. And don't forget, as I told you before, void type or void data type, it's empty, it's under fundamentals data type, void is data type, the procedure, and function is derived data type, it's return a value. Now let's go to Visual Studio to go to see how this program gonna work. All right, this is our program, as we said. Hashtag include a stream, hashtag include string using std, and we write the procedure and the function above the main function. Okay, don't forget this. So we have here void, my first procedure always we use for it void, and two brackets, curly brackets, cout, this is my first procedure, less than end line. And the function we use here is string data type, we name the function my first function, and we have to do return. In the function we should to use this keyword return, and we will return one value. For example, here I return string because the function is from string data type. So this is my first function. So how we call them, as we said in the slide, we call the procedure directly from its name. For example, directly we write the name of the procedure, my first procedure, and two brackets, don't forget semicolon. We can now do run, and the compiler will display the line of code inside the procedure without using cout object before the name of the procedure. But if we call the function, for example, my first function like this, like the procedure, and we did run, compiler will not execute the line of code inside the function. Let's try and see how it's gonna work. Exactly as I said. First line of code, this is my first procedure, it's executed through the compiler executed, this is my first procedure, but this is my first function, the compiler doesn't execute it, it's empty here, while we call the name of the function in the main function. But to let the compiler execute the line of code inside the function, we have to write before the name of the function cout object. We have to use cout object, less than, and here in line. Okay, now if we did run, compiler will execute for us the line of code inside the function. Perfect. Compiler execute for us the two lines of code. First one inside the procedure, this is my first procedure, and the second one inside the function, this is my first function. All right, but usually, as I said, we use the function to return a one value. So if your value is text or string, better to use procedure. If your value math or any logic, better to use function. For example, here let us create another function, integer my second function. Okay, this function from integer data type, two brackets, curly bracket, and inside this curly bracket we write our block of code. Okay, integer, my second function, I name it. This my second function is from integer data type. For example, here I will let's say integer x equal 10, integer y equal 20, and now I have to use return keyword because the function always, as we said, return one value. So I will say x multiply, for example, y semicolon. Here in the main function, I will come to call the name of this function that I just created or I built it right now. Cout my second function, brackets, less than end line. Okay, so this function now, when I called it, it will give me the result of this multiplication inside the function, inside my second function. Let's do run to see if it's going to execute it or not. 10 multiplied 20 should give me 200, so the compiler should display on console screen 200 for this my second function that we just built it right now. Perfect, the compiler display on the console screen 200. 100. And also the function you can treat it like a data type, because as we said, function is derived data type, and procedure also it's fundamentals data type. So for example here, my second function is returned to me 200. I will, let's say I want to divide it 50. Okay, it should give me 4. Look, I'm treating the function like a number, variable, like anything else. The name of the function with the block of code inside it, you can treat it like anything else. 200 divided 50, it's 4, that's correct. For example, 0.5. 0.5, it should to give me 3 something. Perfect. It's give me 3.99. But if we assign this my second function to another value, for example, here let's create this a variable. We declare a data type integer and result, and we said here result equal my second function, right? And here just call the result. Let's see out. Perfect. Here we just call the result. Compiler should give me also 3 point something, but compiler will not give me 3 point something. Compiler will give me directly 3. Perfect. The compiler give me 3, while 50.5 it was 3.9 and something. Why the compiler give me 3? Because the result data type it's integer not float. To let the compiler give me the result with function, I should to change the data type, right? Because integer just give whole number. Now the compiler will give me the correct answer for 200 divided 50.5, it's 3.9 something. Perfect. The compiler display the correct number on console screen, 3.9604. That was the correct number that we got it when we called the function without putting inside the variable or assigned to another variable like this result, and we divided with 50.5, it gives us also 3.9 or 9604. And also I can treat the function, as I said, as any variable or number. For example, I will do floor. I will use floor function. What it will give me? It will give me 3, because it will do flooring. It will take the number to down, to truncate to the functions. Perfect. The compiler give me 3 because I use floor function with my name function, my second function that I divided to 50.5. So 200, because my second function it's give me 210 multiply x multiply y, which 10 multiply 20 is 200 divided 50.5, it's 3.9604. But because I use floor function with the result, the final result of function divided 50.5, it's give me 3 because we did flooring. If for example I use seal, it should to give me 4, because 3.9604, the result of my second function divided 50.5, it's 3.9604. So I need now to do sealing to make it 4. So I use function, next function, and it's okay. They will work together because this is my second function, it's data type, and this sealing function is also data type built in the system. All right? Function is derived data type, procedure it's void under fundamentals data type. Perfect. The compiler give me 4 because we use sealing function with our function that we build it together, my second function, and divided to 50.5. The number is correct. So that was the difference between procedure and function. Procedure is not written any value, function written value, and don't forget to use written keyword with the function. The function you can distinguish it from the procedure by using data type before the name of the function, for example string, integer, and when you use void data type before name of the function, it's become procedure. So now let's get back to our slides. We have an easy homework. All right, this is our homework. I want you to try to program print for me card information when you take it before each letter, some lines of star lines, and these sentences. All these homeworks, I want you to write them by using procedures. procedure or functions by procedure because most of them text. So you will make for procedures and you will put this information inside it. So don't write them directly in the main function. I just want you to build a procedures, which is void data type and definable data type, and name each procedure according to the program that you will build it, or according to the block codes that you will put inside the procedures. All right, this is the first homework. The second homework, it will be that I want you to write a procedure and function to do the following. I want you to write a procedure, display a question to the users, and take a data from the users to values for the first number 10, second number 20, and after that I want you to let the compiler do sum, automatically do sum. These two values give me the final result exactly like this shape inside the procedure. You will not write it inside the main function. You will put this block of code inside the procedure. You will just call the name of procedure in the main function, and when it is run, it should to get this result. Ask the user the first question and take 10 or 10 value. Ask the user the second question and take number 20 value, and run and do sum on them, give me the result. You will do this block of code inside procedure, and same like it, but by using function. This homework, we'll solve it in this lesson right now. We have homework solution for the last homework. So let's go to Visual Studio to see how we're gonna solve this homework. All right, this is our last homework code. We build here void and we name it by first some procedures. And inside the procedure, we define data type, integer data type. We declare two variables, x and y. And we build the question using cout object. Please enter number 1 and cn x. The value will be stored in variable x. And another question, please enter number 2. We store the second value in the variable y, and cout line of stars and cout x plus y. This inside the procedure. No need to write return because procedure doesn't return any value. We can just use cout object. But here, when we build or we create a function, we use integer data type. We name the function by first sum function, and same also we define integer data type, x and y, display questions to the users. So in the end, we use return keyword x plus y, and we come here in integer main function. We call the name of the procedure my first sum procedure to display the result and the question to the user, and take the value or the data from user through the console screen and display it on the console screen, the final results. And here just cout slash ends to make some space. Cout my first sum function, we called the function name here to have the same process that we do it inside the procedure. Now let's do run to see how this program gonna work. Perfect. The compiler display on console screen the first question from the procedure. Please enter number 1, 10. Please enter number 2, 20. 10 plus 20 is 30. Correct. Please enter number 1. This is now the function questions ask me. 10. Please enter number 2. 20 is give me 30. So that was the lesson of today. The lesson of today explained to you the difference between the function and procedure. Function is return value, procedure doesn't return value, and how to distinguish them. The procedure we always use void, and the function we use integer data type or string or double or float. So that was the difference between them, and next lesson we will know what is parameter. So stay tuned and see you next lesson, guys. Ciao.